This is the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist and an empowerment coach for women. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now here is today's episode. Episode 68. Well, welcome, sisters. Just a quick reminder, if you are unable to participate in last week's Selfcare Summit, Improve Your Bottom Line and Your Personal Life, you can still purchase the summit for $97. Just go out to selfcaresummitforwomen.com and you can get all the interviews that were there. You're not going to be able to do the live Q&A, of course, but all the information is there from the summit. It was a beautiful turnout, had some beautiful souls that were there. So again, you can go out to www.selfcaresummitforwomen.com. If this is the first time that you are tuning into me and may wonder why I say welcome, sisters, it's because what I want to do is I created this podcast to really help women continue to embrace one another, where we support one another, we raise one another up versus go after one another. I know there's a lot of times where that competition kicks in, and I am under the belief system that there is more than enough for all of us out there as entrepreneurs, those in the corporate world, wherever you are, that instead of working against one another, it's really about raising one another up. We are much more powerful, and we truly raise the vibrational level on our planet as we are in that supportive, loving place versus competition. And in today's episode, I really want to talk about just that, loving yourself as a woman, really opening yourself up to who you are. There is just this epidemic of the not enough going around, or that seems to be with the women that I work with. And don't get me wrong, there's times that I've struggled with not thinking I was enough as well. But the majority of my clients, there's this common thread that there's something wrong with them, that they are not enough, that those old messages you may have received when you were a kid, whether they were direct or indirect messages, that somehow you were deficient. And I know that's a huge thing for many people who are introverted, again, like, oh, there must be something wrong with me because I spend more time up in my head and my little inner world, that I'm not as talkative or whatever it may be. And that's not true. You know, it's embracing that personality type that you are, and you're more than that personality type as well. So it's remembering that. Then the second layer, if you're a highly sensitive person, again, because you do the depth of processing, you get overstimulated easier than others. You are perceiving so much that is going on in your environment that can get, again, overwhelming at times. Again, if you're coming from this mindset that you're defective, that there's something wrong with you, you need to be different, you're going to continuously create this disconnect, right? You're going to create a struggle in your life that doesn't need to be there. So today I really want to talk about giving yourself this permission to begin to think of yourself differently, to really come from a place of love and full acceptance of who you are. Now, I don't mean like you're not open to change or personal development, spiritual development, things like that. You're going to continue to do those things that you may already have in place in your life. But this is really about releasing, forgiving, letting go of any old messages you may have received as a young girl of how you're not enough because of your introversion, because of your highly sensitive nature, because of whatever list, right? When you come from a place of self-acceptance, you're really stepping into your personal power as well. And again, I know this is a big thing for women, of stepping into that, and maybe a whole different podcast that I do on that. So what I want to do first is I want to talk about how, when you're not in alignment with your values, with who you are, with your temperament, when you're not accepting all of who you are, it can show up somatically in your body. So in psychology, we talk a lot about, right, you've got your thoughts going on, but also if your stress level is really high, overwhelm is really high, anxiety is really high, fear is really high, your body can tolerate so much of it. And that to me is really, that's where you get out of alignment. And often what I found over all the years that I've worked with people is, they get stomach aches more often. They have headaches more often. They may even have like these diagnoses of IBS, things like that. And some of that truly is more from the psychological base than anything else. I'm not discounting what your doctor may have told you, but I really want to encourage you to get curious about how, if you're not loving who you are, how that may manifest in your body. Maybe it's the tightness in your shoulders. I always like to say, yeah, sometimes if I'm overly stressed, I lose my neck because my shoulders start to raise up, and I have to consciously and intentionally put my shoulders back and down so that I can continue to keep my chest area open to really receive the goodness that is coming in, the love that is coming in, and also to be able to give it out. So some other things that can happen is when you are overly stressed, not liking yourself, thinking you're not enough, you're more susceptible to illnesses, right? Oftentimes I see people's immune systems are suppressed due to them not liking who they are. And once they get to this place of, again, forgiving old messages, their parents did the best that they could with the skills they had, or they let go of, I need to prove myself to the world through my achievements. I need to, people please everybody because I just need to be liked by everybody. When they let go of those things and really step more into their true potential, their true soul, when they're in alignment with that inner compass, all of a sudden, their immune system begins to elevate, and they are more likely to ward off colds, flus, things like that, because there's more self-acceptance. It's a huge, that mind, body, spirit is nothing to truly joke with. There's truth in that when you're fully in alignment, your life is just, it's different, truly different. So let me go back just a little bit. I think it was last year that, I'm not good with times and dates. So I think it was last year when I was telling you guys about, I went to a spiritual retreat at Omega Institute, and we did this exercise, which was incredibly powerful, and there was not a dry eye in it. And what we did was we paired up and we sang to one another, I see you. And at the time, it was fascinating because the spiritual teacher that was doing this was just reminding us as women, we often don't give ourselves that permission to truly be seen or to be held by whoever, whether it's our partners, family members, friends, ourselves. And I've done this exercise slightly different when I used to do couples work, and I also do it when I've done individual work as well in my psychotherapy practice. And I will often get a lot of giggles and like, I can't do that, Nicole. And what that is, if you are with a partner, look at each other for 3 minutes. Do nothing more than that. Just soften your gaze and look at one another and truly see one another and allow yourself to also be seen. This is, again, slowing life down and being able to embrace that. It brings up a lot of things for people, and it's not uncommon for people to start to giggle because they're uncomfortable. Their thoughts are, this is silly. Oh, this is weird. What are they thinking? But at the same time, when you really just soften into that and breathe into your heart and exhale through your heart, this love, this openness to receiving and to giving, you can begin to just be in that moment and allow yourself to really be seen and to be held in that moment. When we live in the unconscious level, right, where we're living out old patterns, meaning we're thinking the same thing, we're feeling the same thing, yet we're wanting our life to be different, you can't. I mean, life is going to keep turning out the same of the same of the same. You wonder why you keep ending up with the same person in your life, whether it's a guy, girl, whoever. And you're like, I don't understand why each person that I'm dating seems to be the same thing. Well, it means there's something within you that you haven't really up-leveled yet. that you're projecting that out there into the world. And it's like, so they're giving you this message back. What inside of you needs to begin to shift, to release, to let go? This is why I cannot stress enough the power of self-exploration. Again, that very first episode I did, where the power of contemplation, when we allow ourselves to go back inside, tune back into our inner voice, our inner compass, to our soul, to connect to source, to divine, it shifts you, it changes you. You can become much more aware of who you are. And like, yeah, somebody said they didn't like that I was introverted because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, well, that's their story. It's not mine. I love all of who I am, and that I'm enough, that I'm whole, I'm complete. When you live in your head only, which again, I know us introverts and HSPs, boy howdy, do we love to live in our minds. You can also lose being in the moment. That's where this mindfulness concept really comes in. You just notice your thoughts and you let them go. To come back into the moment really is allowing more joy into your life. If you're living in the future, if you're totally anchored in the future, right, you're missing out on the now. If you're still thinking about the past, you're missing out on the now. So for example, let's say you're doing dishes. You can create that as a very mindful practice. Now, granted, it doesn't mean you have to love doing dishes, but the fact of the matter is, it's like, oh, wow, I have the opportunity to actually do these dishes, and I can do them with mindfulness and just bring myself back into the moment and be intentional about it. So those mundane tasks, you can actually shift what you're doing. You can be, again, unconscious, I call it into the trance, and just kind of do it and move on, and you lose a moment, or continuously bring yourself back into it. Again, that's you practicing the power of being in the moment. It's you practicing moving through thoughts and emotions versus getting stuck in it. It's remembering you are this incredible woman, and you're more than the concepts, the role of mother, wife, friend, daughter. You're so much more than that. Those are the roles that you are in or play, but you're more than that. So a while back, I shared a quick little blog post with all of you, and it was called You Are Magnificent. I wrote this poem during a time when I was in meditation, and the reality is I really needed to hear it myself when it was basically given to me. And I put it in the graphic, and then I shared it out in the world, and I was telling some friends of mine, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel totally exposed and vulnerable. What are people going to think about it? And they reminded me, it's like, it doesn't matter what they think about it. If it hits home for them, beautiful. If it doesn't, that's okay too. The poem I received for me, I know is not meant only for me. And I'll put a link in the show notes and you can go out and read it yourself as well. It was just something though that, well, I guess I can read it now. What I received in that, and this is months ago, it's you are magnificent. There is no one else like you. You are and were uniquely created. Put down your mask. Let the world see your magnificence. Embrace your magnificence. There will never be another you. So don't hide. Let the world see your brightness. Bring your unique gifts to the world. You are the pebble that create the ripple. Your magnificent human self is just what this world needs. Thank you for stepping out from behind the mask and shining brightly, magnificently in this world. This is what I mean by really embracing all of who you are. I know for me, I am nothing more than a vessel for God. That's, again, you can replace God with divine, spirit, whatever works for you. But my calling is really to help serve women who have gotten really stuck in this overwhelm, thinking that they're not enough, that their introversions or their sensitivities have made them defective. And it's so not true. Each of you have a purpose here on this planet, and you're serving in the best way that you can in this moment. And if those fears are getting in the way of you fully feeling your magnificent self, fully embracing all the gifts that you have, then this is why I do what I do. The the coaching that I do is it's helping women truly not live from this place of fear, not live in a place of constant anxiety and stress. It's beginning to move those things in the background so that again that old story, those old narratives don't stop you from going after those dreams you have, being the best mother you want to be, the best partner you want to be, to build the business that you're doing, to sustain the business that you're doing, to go after the promotions that you want, whatever it is. You truly are enough and you can do this. So much of it is living more on a conscious level. It's getting really clear of what is keeping you stuck. That's where setting aside time every single day to get curious with it. It's not to judge the thoughts, it's observe them, take a step back, zoom out, right? And see what you keep telling yourself. And is it serving you or is it keeping you playing small? It truly doesn't need to take years to change. It really can change in an instant. When you become more aware of this story, the thoughts that are keeping you stuck or overwhelmed, you wake up to that. And now it's like, oh, now I can begin to do different things so that that doesn't run my life anymore. So I'm going to encourage you to take action today. Create that your own spiritual practice, whatever that looks like for you. Set aside time just for you. No excuses. If you tell me, oh, Nicole, I don't have time for this, I've got this, and this going on, I'm going to say, that's bull. You can make 5 minutes. You really can. It's get off the social media, get off watching TV, put down the phones, turn off the electronics. You can carve out 5 to 10 minutes every single day to make that time for you. This is part of the self-care routine for you. Then I'm going to say start with breathing in and out through your heart. I know there's a lot of different ways to do meditation, and science really shows now. Again, I use the heart math monitor, but it's talking about getting into sync with your emotions and your heart. And so if you don't have that, that's fine. You don't need the monitor. I'm saying, but if you even put your hand over your heart and breathe in and out from that, let the love that I know you give others expand and come back to you. When you take a deep breath in and you feel the love coming in through your heart center and you exhale any stress or overwhelm or not enoughness out, feel the warmth of that radiation from your heart radiate throughout your body. If you've got those fear thoughts that are popping through your head, just let them go and continue to come back to your heart. Allow yourself to feel whatever may come up. Acknowledge it, breathe love into it, and release it. I know for some of you, giving yourself permission to really go into those parts of yourself that you've hidden away, whether it's due to shame or guilt, and we call those parts sometimes shadow parts, can feel really scary to go there. Yet when you do this every day, you begin to gain freedom in your life. Literally, you're no longer held down by those chains. Again, the old stories, the old patterns. You let that go. Forgive yourself if you need to. You are truly enough. If you are stuck in that victim mindset as well, where you're blaming everybody for where you are today, that the world or, whether it's people or the world or the economy, let it go. Acknowledge that part, send it love, and say, no more. I'm taking full responsibility for my life because that is the only way I'm going to gain my freedom. I'm going to gain more joy in my life is because I'm going to live more intentionally, more consciously, and love all of me. When I love all of me, that will radiate out into my work. It will radiate out into my relationships. And I will begin to let go of other people's stuff. If they try to fling that onto me, it just bounces off and I'll let it go because it's not mine. You do not need other people's validations or approval to be you. If you're seeking that, if that people pleaser part of you comes out and you're seeking validation, you're seeking, I need to get their approval, then you're letting them run your life. You're letting them make the choices for you. The whole purpose of practicing mindfulness, practicing reconnecting with your soul, practicing tapping more into your intuition and allowing that to lead, your life, is that you are more able to not take on other people's stuff. That you can hear it, and I call that you transmute it and let it go. Because you know it's not yours. You don't take things personally. You no longer live in reactive mode to events that happen to your life. You respond to things. So my hope today is that out of this message, there is some tidbits that really helped you recognize that you are this incredible human being and that you do have things to offer this world, and to keep embracing all of who you are, because you truly are magnificent. Thank you for listening. I just truly appreciate you tuning into this show, sharing it with other women, and I love hearing from my listeners. So you can always send me an email and just let me know what resonated with you. Remember, if you didn't participate in the Self-Care Summit, Improve Your Bottom Line and Your Personal Life, you can go out to selfcaresummitforwomen.com and purchase it for $97. You may be able to put some of these things that we talked about with all the guests that I worked with into practice starting today. So thank you for listening. Take care. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you found it helpful or inspirational or even encouraging wherever you are right now in your life. If you know of another woman who may find this podcast inspirational or encouraging, please pass this along to her. I really do appreciate you taking the time to listen. Until next time, take care.